Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Manachari Yamunatira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Ira Pavanachari Jamunatira Pavanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe. Jaya Lalita Vishaka Lalita Vishaka Shri Radhe. Jaya Lalita Vishaka Lalita Vishaka Shri Radhe. Jaya Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Gora Sundar Gora Hari. Jaya Nitai Gora Sundar Nitai Gora Sundar Gora Hari. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo, Nitai Gora. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pri Rajakacharya Ashtotara Sata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pri Rajakacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shinvatam Svakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hridyantasto Bhadrani, Vidunoti Suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tajjoshanadashvapavargavardmani shraddharatir bhaktir nukrameshyati. In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Today we are reading from Canto 6, Chapter 17, Texts 11 through 13. I'll just read through 11 and 12, and we can do 13 together. Text 11. Shri Parvatyuvacha Ayam kim aduna loke Shasta dandadhara prabhu Asmadvidhanam dushtanam Nirlajanam Chaviprakrit. The goddess Parvati said, Alas! Has this upstart now received a post from which to punish shameless persons like us? Has he been appointed ruler, carrier of the rod of punishment? Is he now the only master of everything? Text 12. Naveda dharmam kila padmayonir na brahmaputra brigunaradadya na vaikumara kapilo manushcha enoni shedhantyati vartinam haram. Translation. Alas! Lord Brahma, who has taken his birth from the lotus flower, does not know the principles of religion, nor do the great saints like Brigu and Narada, nor the four Kumaras, headed by Sanat Kumara. Manu and Kapila have also forgotten the religious principles. I suppose it to be because of this that they have not tried to stop Lord Shiva from behaving improperly. Text 13. Recite this one together. Eshamanutye padabdra yugmam Jagad Guru Mangala Mangalam Svayam. Yakshatra bandhu paribhuya surin Prashasti drishtas tadayam hidantyaha Eshamanudhyeya padabja yugmam Jagadguru Mangala Mangalam Svayam Akshatra Bandhu Paribhuya Surin Vashasti Drishtas Tadayam Hidandhya Eshamanudhyeya Padabja Yugmam Jagadguru Mangala Mangalam Svayam Yakshatra Bandhu Paribhuya Surin Prashasti Drishtas Tadayam Hidandhya Eshamanudhyeya Padabja Yugmam Jagadguru Mangala Mangalam Svayam Yachatra Bandhu Paribhuya Svirin Prashasti Drishtas Talayam Hidandhya Eshamanudhyeya Padabja Yugmam Jagadguru Mangala Mangalam Svayam Yashatra Bandhu Paribhuya Surin Prashasti Drishtas Tarayam Hidandhya Eshamanudhyeya Padabja Yugmam Jagadguru Mangala Mangalam Svayam Yashatra Bandhu Paribhuya Surin Prashasti Drishtas Tarayam Hidandhya. Online.
Eshamanudhyay Padabhya Yugamam
Eshamanudhyeya Padabja Yugmam
Jagad Guru Mangala Mangalam Svayam
Jagadguru Mangala Mangalam Svayam
Yakshashtra Bandhu Paribhuya Surin
Yakshatra Bandhu Paribhuya Surin
Prashasti Drishtas Tadayam Hidanya
Prashasti Drishtas Tarayam Hidandhyaha
Eshamanudhyeya Padabja Yugmam
Eshamanudhyeya Padabja Yugmam
Jagad Guru Mangala Mangalam Swayam
Jagadguru Mangalam Mangalam Svayam
Yachatrabandhu Haribu Yasurin
Yachatra Bandhu Paribhuya Surin
Prashasti Drishtastad Ayam Hidandyaha.
Prashasti Drishtas Tadayam Hidandhya. Anyone else? Okay. Word for word. Esham, of all these exalted personalities, Anudhyeya, to be constantly meditated upon, Pada Abja Yugmam, whose 2 lotus feet, Jagat Gurum, the spiritual master of the whole world, Mangala Mangalam, personification of the topmost religious principle, Swayam, himself, Yaha, he who, Chatra Bandhuhu, the lowest of the Kshatriyas, Paribhuya, overriding, Sureen, the demigods, like Brahma and the others, Prashasti, chastises, Dristaha, impudent, Tat, therefore, I am this person, he, indeed, Dandyaha, to be punished. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This Chitraketu is the lowest of Kshatriyas, for he has impudently overridden Brahma and the other demigods by insulting Lord Shiva, upon whose lotus feet they always meditate. Lord Shiva is personified religion and the spiritual master of the entire world, and therefore Chitraketu must be punished. Purport. All the members of the assembly were exalted brahmanas and self-realized souls, but they did not say anything about the conduct of Lord Shiva, who was embracing the goddess Parvati on his lap. Chitraketu nonetheless criticized Lord Shiva, and therefore the opinion of Parvati was that he should be punished. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhihevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So welcome everyone to this morning's class. Still in the pastime of Chitraketu cursed by Mother Parvati. So we've had a week full of wonderful classes discussing all the characters of this pastime, as well as sensitivity in our interaction with the devotees, and Chitraketu's real position, as well as Lord Shiva's position, and the benefit of him being cursed so that he could go back to Godhead fast, which is what we heard in one of the purports. So something I was thinking about with this, it sounds like Mother Parvati is being pretty sarcastic in these verses, which is really interesting and funny to me. The way she's describing how Ketu Maharaj is, are you now the punisher of shameless persons like us? Have you been appointed the ruler, the carrier of the rod of punishment? Are you now the only master of everything? And then she was also saying like that the other people in the assembly, the saintly persons, they don't know the principles of religion because they didn't say anything, and but you thought that something should be said, and oh, they've all forgotten the religious principles, huh? And I suppose it to be because that they have not tried to stop Lord Shiva from behaving improperly. So she says that he's impudently overridden Brahma and the other demigods by insulting Lord Shiva, upon whose lotus feet they always meditate. And the purport is saying, all the members of the assembly were exalted brahmanas and self-realized souls, but they did not say anything about the conduct of Lord Shiva, who was embracing the goddess Parvati on his lap. Tritaketu nonetheless criticized Lord Shiva, and therefore the opinion of Parvati was that he should be punished. So it's very interesting that all those saintly persons who were assembled there didn't say anything. But Tritaketu Maharaj thought, oh, I need to say something here. So we've talked about how he was trying to protect Lord Shiva's position by inquiring about this oddity that he saw, this wonder of Lord Shiva embracing Parvati on his lap while in the assembly of saintly persons. So he was thinking people might be. He was in wonder about that, and he was also like, okay, let's see if we can ask about this, because people might wonder, okay, why is he doing this? But in this text before this and in the text after this, we're looking at the verse Trinadapi Sunichena. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that this is also reminding us not to be proud and think like, okay, I'm going to criticize someone, and instead we should be humble and meek. So this Trinadapi verse is brought up multiple times in this section of the Bhagavatam. So I thought we could talk a little bit about that, and how Tritaketu Maharaj, just playing his part in this role, is giving us an opportunity to hear instructions about how we should be humble and meek and not criticize others. He's actually a great devotee, but he's giving us an opportunity to learn from him. Tamal Krishna Maharaj says this example of like the mother-in-law, and how the mother-in-law, when she is wants to instruct her daughter-in-law who's unruly and doesn't want to listen, what she does is she has her daughter over. The daughter-in-law comes over, and then she instructs the daughter, and then the daughter-in-law hears it. So he was saying that we're also like these unruly daughter-in-laws, and we're not like ready to hear instructions, but like Tritaketu Maharaj is getting instructed and getting his, from Mother Parvati, and getting his whole pastime going on, and then we can all learn from that. So we were talking about in a CC class recently that uh, criticizing others is thinking we're better than them. Saramaprabhu was talking about that, and I was trying to grasp my head around that. It's really interesting, like how you think like, okay, well, I actually know what should be done here, and you're not doing it. Like I know what should be done, so I'm going to criticize how you're doing it. So you think you're putting yourself in a superior position, and so that's what Chittiketu Maharaj was doing here, because no one else was saying anything. But he was like, okay, I think something needs to be said, and no one else is doing anything. So as I said, the Trinadapi verse is mentioned a couple of times. So I wanted to share one thing. If you take one thing away from this class, is that the importance of that verse. There's this pastime that I heard a devotee in Mayapur discussing about in a class about Srila Prabhupada's pastime, where he was a god brother visited him, and it's like LB Kapoor or some name like that. It was kind of hard to make out the name, and the Srila Prabhupada gave him a tonic, and it was like some medicine or tincture. And the god brother accepted it, but he was like, okay, well, but could you give me the tonic for love of Godhead that you have? And Srila Prabhupada was like, oh, there's no tonic, but there's a formula. And then the god brother was like, well, could you share it if it's not a secret? And Srila Prabhupada said, it's not a secret. Yeah, sure, you can share it. It's Trinadapi Sunichena. So that's the importance of this verse. That's how we get prema, love of Godhead. So we can just take that away to like look more into that verse, because by that consciousness of how we chant the holy name, we can chant the name of the Lord constantly. So Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing the importance of the Trinadapi verse. So it all kind of comes back in all these verses, and the Bhagavatam just comes back to how we need to chant Hare Krishna. That's just the crux of it all. When we have a when we don't have a humble mindset, like Dasya Prem Prabhu was saying yesterday in his class, then um, we might not always continue to chant when we don't have this Trinadapi mindset of all those qualities there. So, because he was saying like how this one devotee, which is what I also was trying to figure out, was how one leads to another. Like the consciousness of this Trinadapi verse leads to not to being able to chant constantly. And it's like if you say you're like kind of like disturbed by some other devotee and they're not respecting you, and like you're disrupted, and then you're chanting your japa and you're just thinking about what the person said to you, and you're not like thinking about the holy name. So this distraction of the mind when we get disturbed and bothered distract us from chanting the holy name, and then we might choose to just discontinue chanting at the time because we're like, okay, I'm just too disturbed. I'm not going to chant right now. So that's why one of the reasons why this mentality of being more tolerant than a tree, more humble than a blade of grass, lower than the straw in the street, devoid of all sense of false prestige, helps us to chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. It helps us have less of a disturbed mind and really understand our actual constitutional position, which is of servant of Krishna, and to chant and glorify Him. It's definitely easy to think like, okay, I'm just supposed to gratify my senses, and that is the goal of my life. Bhagavatam tells us, though, that um, life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. And if we remember our actual position, our humble position, which is dependent on Krishna, we know that He is the one that we need to serve. And He's the one we need to glorify and always chant. I personally found in my own life that it's easier to chant when I'm feeling like happier versus whenever I'm like more morose. And it's kind of interesting because you're supposed to chant at all times. You can chant Hare Krishna. Especially like sometimes we call out to Krishna when we're distressed too. That's another thing we do. Like Mother Kunti, she was talking about letting calamities come again and again to her so that she would call the name of Krishna. So that's another thing that we do. So I've done that as well, and we all do that. We like call out for help when we're distressed, and the whole idea is to constantly be remembering Krishna so that at the time of death we will call out to Him um, and remember Him, because we practice it constantly throughout our life, and not we're just going to be like, oh no, but instead we're going to say Hare Krishna or Krishna save me. Yesterday I had an experience though where I was feeling morose, and then um, I think because I was preparing for this class, and like I was thinking about chanting Hare Krishna, and constantly in all circumstances, not just like in some circumstances. So I started chanting Hare Krishna, and then like my consciousness cleared. It was really interesting. So I was like, oh, I should do this more whenever I'm actually morose. And um, so I was thinking to share some tips for chanting, just in case any of these would help anybody else. Some tips I've heard. Um, I've already shared one of them, which is like the working out example, where Vaisheshika Prabhu said whenever you're at the gym, and if you are at the gym and if you're chanting and you just let your mind wander and don't try to bring it back, it's like you're just moving your arms instead of actually lifting weights with them. So, like how much benefit are you building up in your muscles if you're just like, okay, I'm just going to move my arms, but I won't actually work to lift the weights. I'll just let my mind wander wherever it wants. So it's not a criticism of our mind wandering. What Krishna says already, that the mind is unsteady, and when you bring it under the control of the self, and that it's more difficult to control than the wind. And what we can understand, though, is that we do make an effort to bring it back whenever it wanders. And we might want to try that instead of, if we think about this, like, oh, I'm not getting as much benefit if I just move my arms. But if I put the weights on, okay, maybe I'll get some benefit. And it's just encouraging because, like, maybe some days we're not as good at it, but at least we're at the gym, or at least we're chanting. And hopefully that makes us encouraged, okay, tomorrow I'm also going to go to the gym because, at least I'm here and I'm developing this practice of going to the gym and chanting. And the only way to get better in chanting is to keep chanting and keep trying to bring our mind back. And we can also focus on the 32 syllables of the holy name as we're chanting, because sometimes the mind just wants to be like, okay, I'm just going to chant the whole mantra, but the whole mantra is made up of syllables, so you have to chant each syllable to say the whole mantra. So if you focus on one syllable at a time, you can hear better and hear the whole mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just like Guru Janpur, when people discuss and remind us to just, focus on one mantra at a time, one word at a time. The mind wants to not do that, but if you do that, you are focusing on the whole thing because each time you focus, you're hearing the next word, the next word, the next word, and you're hearing the whole mantra, and then you're hearing your whole round, ideally, and then your next round. And so just look, just one step, focusing on something small. And, why is it important to chant attentively? So we're developing our relationship with Krishna when we're chanting these holy names. He is identical to his holy name, and Lord Chaitanya has told us, Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, none different from him, has told us to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when you call someone, you give your attention to them. It's not like like you're like, okay, hey Krishna. It's just like, hey Krishna. But when we have a conversation, we appreciate when someone gives their attention, and that's how you build a relationship with somebody. So we're trying to build that relationship that we forgot that we had with Krishna. And we turned away from him, Krishna Bahirmukha, we've turned away from Krishna, and it's kind of like have to be humble and crawl back, like, please accept me again. Like that's what this mantra is saying, please engage me in your service, please engage me in your service. And we need that humble, because Krishna is the one who can choose whether he reveals himself to us and whether he bestows us with love of Godhead and bhakti and all of these things. So we're really in like a humble position of like begging, asking earnestly, like, please accept me and take me back, because he's a person. It's not like we're like, hey, I'm doing all the right things, so you have to do this for me and you have to be in a relationship with me like this. Like that's not how relationships work. It's not like, okay, well, I gave you all the things you said you asked for, so now you have to love me. You have to do. And also, we can't just give whatever. Srila Prabhupada talks about how we have to say if he wants milk and then someone brings him water. It's like, okay, well, because they thought, oh, well, I want to give them water, but like give them what they like, what they asked for. And so Krishna already tells us in all the scriptures what he wants and what he likes and how we have to serve him. And so we just, humbly do that and try to develop our relationship again with him after, it's been a while, and trying to reawaken that love that we've had for him after we've been, struggling in this material world and material enjoyment. And as we said in the beginning, the prayers of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that they help the Krishna helps cleanse the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages. And it's so kind that just by us regularly, like I know so many of you are regular attendees to the Bhagavatam class, and how that our regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering a service to the pure devotee, so that's an additional one. So we should remember to try to make sure we're doing that one. That all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. That's like so wonderful to hear. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead is praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Mother Leela Kishore was reminding us of this verse recently, and it's so nice to remember this. So we want our heart to Chaito Dharma Marjnam, our heart to be cleansed, so that we can continue to chant nicely. And as we were talking about, I was talking with Tarka recently, and he was reminding us that we were looking at this one verse about tolerance. It was like part of a quotation that Srila Prabhupada wrote, and it's in Adi 17-128 of CC, and it says, this practice of forbearance, Torora pi sahishnuna, is very difficult, but when one actually engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the quality of forbearance automatically develops. A person advanced in spiritual consciousness through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, need not practice to develop it separately. For a devotee develops all good qualities simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. So here we're hearing that you don't need to develop forbearance separately, that it comes automatically from the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And all good qualities come simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly, is what we hear. So it's very interesting because Lord Chaitanya is telling us in the Shikshashtakam Trinadapi verse these qualities that we need to have of humility and tolerance and no false prestige, ready to offer respect unto all others. And these qualities will come naturally and automatically from chanting Hare Krishna, and then those qualities also help you to chant Hare Krishna. So it's kind of like a cycle, a circle. The qualities you get from chanting Hare Krishna help you to chant Hare Krishna. So chanting Hare Krishna brings these good qualities, and then these good qualities help you have the right state of mind to keep chanting Hare Krishna. And like I was saying, if the mind is distracted by other absorptions, well, we are less likely to keep chanting. So I was thinking about the story of Chintamani and Bilvala Mangala Thakur, and I was just going to read what Srila Prabhupada said about that real quick. He says that he tells the story very briefly. One place he tells it is, he says, let me see where I put that. Bear with me. He says that Bilva Thakur, due to bad association, Bilva Thakur became a very staunch prostitute hunter, and he spent all his money on a prostitute named Chintamani. One night, during a terrible rainstorm, Bilva went to see Chintamani, but the prostitute was thinking, surely tonight Bilva will not come. This is a terrible storm. Nonetheless, Bilva came, despite all difficulties. Somehow he managed to cross the raging river, and when he saw the gates of Chintamani's house closed, he somehow managed to jump over them. Despite all the dangers, he reached Chintamani's house, and the prostitute, being very astonished, said, how is it you have come tonight? Oh, you are so attracted to this skin. If you just had this much attraction for Krishna, it would certainly be to your benefit. And then it goes on to say Bilva then immediately left the prostitute's house and went to Vrindavan. The fact was that in his previous life he had executed devotional service up to Bhava Bhakti. Thus the prostitute Chintamani actually became his guru. I love this idea that like his strong absorption was like, she was like, if you just had that absorption for Krishna, like you would be set. It's like what we absorb ourselves in, what we give our attention to, that's where our attention and energy flows and our mind absorbs. So really we want to make sure we're absorbing in Krishna consciousness so that we stay absorbed in Krishna. And finally we can just close some of this conversation about, it's just like a reminder of two things of what Dasya Premapuru said in his class yesterday, that Tatenu Kampam Shishamikshamano Punjane Bhatmakartam Vipakam Hridbhagva Pure Beer Vidadan Namaste Jivetio Mukti Vide Sadayabhak. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-8 is reminding us not only to tolerate the reactions of our past misdeeds, but also glorify and praise the Lord at the same time. So we're not here just to be like, okay, I'm just gonna tolerate and just be quiet. I'm just going to deal with it. But we want to praise the Lord glorify the Lord at the same time. So that's really what our goal is. And just we can pray to Krishna to, please, you're Hrishikesh, the controller of the senses. I can't control my own senses, and it's hard for me to develop these qualities. But please control my senses and help me focus on you while I'm chanting with you. So I'll stop there. Do we have any comments, questions, corrections, reflections, realizations? Have any of you been thinking about this Trinadapi verse or any of these qualities recently and trying to put them into practice in your life? And if there's nothing, I'll just share a little funny story from yesterday. Yes, Kalaswarup Prabhu.
So, on the point of my, Of course, when it's a principle, we also have to do knowledge over the past. Because of course, no criticizing when you're having a free. Like, I think shoot follow up. You described that shoot follow up can be seen as a walking PR. And in the sense is, you invite people to come see you, and maybe just call them dogs and rascals and fools and things like that. So Prabhupada made lots of definitions of different things. Sometimes multiple definitions of the same word. And one definition of humility that he gave is knowing that the only thing that can save us is Krishna. Not our family, not our education, not our anything else. And that was actual humility. So sometimes people have a misunderstanding that humility is just like, oh, I won't say anything, I won't do anything. And some people even use it as an excuse not to preach strong. That, I'm not being humble. Prabhupada's humility, opposite of Prabhupada's humility, Hanuman's humility, very high. Is all great. Criticize people who are against emotional service because I want to be humble, because I can also. So I'm sure that, as you were saying, we should apply Trinam, PC, Trinam, to be very we should understand what true humility is and not misapply.
Yes.
Decrease the preaching activities because of the misunderstanding of this.
Great points. College Troop was reminding us not to misapply humility and be like, okay, well, I'm just not going to preach strongly because, I'm humble and I'm not going to criticize anyone. And, Srila Prabhupada, he was saying it was a walking PR nightmare because he would invite people to come talk and then he would just call them dogs and stuff like that. And so the humility, like Hanuman's humility in burning down Lanka, and this humility is what did you say? One definition of what humility is defined by Prabhupada? Only Krishna can help me. Nothing. Only Krishna can save me. Not my education, not my family, not my gun. Only Krishna can save me. And another definition of humility in 13:8 to 12 is and not to desire to not to be anxious for the satisfaction of the honor from others. So many nice examples. I'm happy you shared that one about only Krishna can save me. And you made me think of this thing because I was looking up some stuff, and there is a proper motive for criticism. Proper motive is of three types: desiring the welfare of the person criticized, desiring the welfare of the world, and desiring one's own welfare. There are three types of proper motive. One, if the intention in analyzing someone's sins is to ensure that he attains his ultimate welfare, then such reflection is auspicious. Two, if the motive behind reflecting on someone's sins is to benefit the whole world, then this is to be counted as an auspicious act. Three, if such reflection is undertaken for one's own spiritual welfare, then it too is auspicious. There is no fault in such reflection. That's an interesting one. If such reflection is undertaken for one's own spiritual welfare, then it too is auspicious. There is no fault in such reflection. So there's examples given. For example, when one reflects upon the historical accounts of personalities like Valmiki or Jagai and Madai, in light of one or more of these three virtuous motives, then such reflection is never the cause of incurring sin. So example, like when we think about Jagai and Madai and the bad things we do and we talk about it, we're not like, oh, now we're incurring sin because we're, talking about these bad things they did. When a disciple humbly asks his spiritual master to instruct him on how to identify a Vaishnava, the spiritual master, desiring the welfare of his disciple and of the whole world, explains that those who exhibit unholy behavior are non-Vaishnavas. Those who exhibit unholy behavior are non-Vaishnavas. He thus points out how to identify true Vaishnavas through antithesis. With the motive of encouraging one to accept the shelter of the lotus feet of a true Vaishnava by abandoning false so-called preachers of religion, one neither risks committing blasphemy of saints, sadhu ninda, or Vaishnava aparad, offense to Vaishnavas. In such cases, even criticism directed at a specific person is free from fault. These are all examples of criticizing with the proper motive. Yeah. It's a screenshot, James, so I'll have to check where I got it. It was this article and it had a lot of. That's where it's from. Vaishnav Ninda by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Thank you. James was just asking where is this discourse on criticism located?
Hare Krishna, can you say it again? Sorry.
Sure. Vaishnav Ninda by Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Okay, thank you. Hare Lord.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, Yashadev Prabhu has his hand raised.
Haribo Janavatsala Prabhu, thank you for
Prabhu.
wonderful Bhagavatam class. You're just asking for reflections on the Trinada P Sunichena verse. I always recall Aindra Prabhu saying that humility means we should recognize that the Dharma, especially made for the age of Kali, where people are manda sumanda matayo, very fallen, is the Dharma for me. And I shouldn't think that I'm somehow qualified by anything else, whether it be what assets that I have, or my good looks, or my funny jokes, or the way that I dance. Actually, perhaps the way that I dance really is a qualification. But he says that that Dharma, which is especially meant for the very fallen and lowly people in Kali Yuga, that's the Dharma for me. So he said, this is the meaning of humility expressed in Trinada P Sunichena. I shouldn't think that there's anything else that's qualifying me for a relationship with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for bringing up. That's wonderful. Yeah, so that would help us chant constantly because that's the only thing for me to do. Devaki Priti. There's a hand raised.
Hare Krishna, Jana. Thank you so much for your class. I really appreciated it. And I really liked the point of just like how you brought everything back to Trinada P, that verse, and like the different things you told about it. I like that pastime from Srila Prabhupada. And yeah, just that reminder that like how important the holy name is. So I think that's my take home for today is we're so fortunate to have been given the holy name by Srila Prabhupada, bringing it to the West. I just want to see how I can take more shelter of that today as I do my japa. So thank you for reminding us that essence about the importance of chanting the holy name. And we do have that opportunity at any moment. Any moment we can take shelter. Hopefully we get to every moment, but for now, at least any moment we think of it, we can reach out to Krishna. He's right there in his name. So thank you for reminding us of the essence. And I pray I can remember that in my japa today. Hi, Krishna. Thank you, all devotees, too. Hi, Krishna. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you for that reflection. You got the essence. We're just trying to remember to chant Hare Krishna and the Trinada P verse. Jagannath Pandit Prabhu. Want to come a little closer?
We talked about Trinada yesterday, and in the discussion, we're trying to figure out is each blade of grass a living entity, or is it grass wow, each blade is that an eye living entity? And we were talking about, and so we just had Google. He just asked Google, grab it, and Google confirmed that yes, every blade of grass is a living entity. And he didn't say it like that. We were like, who would even think that? I mean, you don't even think about that. Think about how a blade of grass is. I mean, who even thinks about it? Like just walk along all over the places. And they're all over the place. Grass are all over. And if you think about how people walk in grass, I mean, literally lower than everybody stepping. And nobody thinks about it.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow. I thought in cutting grass. So am I, you know, I'm very, these living not all still our body. Hey, and I'm like, man, I should be chanting our Krishna without killing even millions of people. You know, when you're not killing, you know, the child, just the girl. Goodness. Anyway, I just keep plugging up at this.
Okay, tell me if I get this right. Jagannath Prabhu was just talking about how him and Bhupri Prabhu yesterday were talking about it's every individual blade of grass a living entity, or is it just like the patch of grass that is? And they asked AI or Google or whatever, and was like, and then Jamabati Mataji just said that's a good use of AI. So they were like, so it said that every blade of grass is a living organism. So each of these blades of grass, and he was saying that whenever he mows the grass, then how many living entities is he just like? He was like, if my arm was chopped off, I would be in pain. So he was just like, how many living entities is he just kind of like affecting when he's mowing the grass? And then he should be chanting Hare Krishna while he's doing this. Then when I'm mowing the grass, because there's like so many living entities. I'm just like, and he was talking about that humility of the blade of grass, where the blade of grass is like, no one's thinking about it while we're walking on all those individual blades. We're just walking. And so it's really interesting actually, because um, that whole idea that nobody's thinking about that, it's like we're so insignificant. Like if we be humble there than the grass, where nobody's thinking about us, but we want to bring thought and glorification to Krishna and maximize his glorification rather than having anybody thinking about us when we're doing our activities. It's like all glory to Srila Prabhupada, just bringing the glory to the Guru and Krishna, uh, rather than like just the insignificant blade of grass. Yesterday I was in the supermarket and sometimes like I was chanting japa, so I was in line. Sometimes I hold my phone to my mouth so it doesn't look like I'm talking to myself. And so I was doing that, and then someone like was trying to talk to me to see like if they were butting in line in front of me and someone else. And so then they were saying a few sentences to me. And then eventually I just like held up my phone and like gestured towards it. And then they were like, oh okay. Tell the person on the phone that this crazy retired guy says hello. So I was like, okay, Krishna, this retired says hello. So hopefully this is his Agada security starting. We have one more minute. Is there anything else? We can end soon. Just trying to remember to chant Hare Krishna in any condition of life. Oma pavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gatopi va yasmanet pundarikaksham sabayabhyantara shuchihi Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Whether one is purified or is impurified, in any condition or stage of life, if one simply remembers the Supreme Lord who is beautified with lotus petal eyes, becomes purified both outwardly and inwardly. Let's see. It's 8 o'clock now, dear devotees. Hope you all have a Krishna conscious day. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
You mentioned forebears comes off that separate endeavor, basically by chanting Hare Krishna. Where was that?
CC Adi 17, I think it was 28 or 31.
You said 20.
I think it was CC Adi 17, 28. Yeah, 28. Adi said. Okay. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya
Jaya Jaya Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya. Do you know the tune? Don't apologize, Louise. Just trying to